hello, this is Danielle from PJs and Pages, and I am so glad that Josh asked me to participate in his literary alphabet roundtable. I've never participated in anything like this before, so it was really exciting to get asked to do something like this. He gave me the letter O, and so I chose to read Orbital by Samantha Harvey. Look at that cover. It is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. I actually saw it at a local indie bookstore in the sci-fi fantasy section, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend, I don't know, what was it, like 24 bucks on a book this small, unless I knew for sure that I was gonna love it. So I went ahead and I requested it from my library, and I'm glad that I did. This book is essentially a snapshot of a 24-hour period in the lives of these 6 women and men who are astronauts at the International Space Station, which sounds super exciting, right? Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about their 24-hour rotation in the space station. Now, I do have some thoughts about it. So I thought that this was sci-fi, and that's technically where it exists because these astronauts are fictional astronauts. However, it reads a lot more like literary nonfiction. In fact, it is very slice of life-esque and almost reads like a mockumentary. Like I could hear David Attenborough narrating this in my head the entire time, which is not a bad thing at all. And it's definitely a genre of its own, but I don't know that I would qualify it as sci-fi, not in the sci-fi in the sense that you would consider, not even literary sci-fi, like it was just mockumentary style. If there is no real plot, not even a real character analysis, like there's little like hints about each character and the reasons for why they're at the space station, but there's no real deep character analysis on it. You can't, on a book this short and this tall, you can't have a deep character analysis on any one particular character, especially when there's 6 of them. So no real character analysis. It's more about the beauty of the earth, the beauty of our universe, and humanity's place within it, and our you know, the impact we're having on our natural world, which is a fantastic theme to explore. But I liked it, I just didn't love it because there was no plot. And while I liked those themes and I liked reading about them, and I find the idea of like people living up in space is interesting, so I had interest in it, I found it becoming very monotonous, and it was, you know, kind of said the same thing over and over again, and it could have been summed up in a chapter or two, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, without a climax that we were working towards, it got pretty monotonous, and I kind of get that that was a little intentional. Like living up in the space station, you start to get the feeling that it is monotonous up there. It's not all glory and, you know, adventure the way that we imagine it as, you know, regular human people on this earth. When you actually get up there, it's pretty boring. So it definitely shows that. But the other thing that I really had a problem with was something in the writing style. So it's a common thing. I know she's not the only author who does it, but she doesn't use quotation marks. So originally when I was reading this, I thought there was no dialogue because I started flipping through it trying to see what was going on, and there were no quotation marks. I was like, oh my God, nobody even speaks in this book. No, people do speak. There's just no quotation marks. And that really bugs me. It's one of my pet peeves with writing styles. I like books that have quotation marks. I don't like that style of no quotation marks. It makes it really hard to see who is speaking and when. It makes me have to go back and reread things that I honestly shouldn't have to. It's not that serious. So that was something that I had an issue with as well. But all in all, the writing in this is absolutely beautiful. There's some observations of the world from up in space that are just lovely. And yeah, the writing is gorgeous. I just don't love that they didn't use quotation marks. I love the themes explored, but I wish that we had had some kind of a plot or a deeper character analysis on one character instead of, glimpses at 6 of these characters. It just made the novel as a whole not have as much depth to me. I'm one of those people who connects on a more character level basis. I like character driven stories, and this was more theme-based? Is that a thing? I don't know. If it is, this book is it. If that is your thing, I think you're really gonna love this. I think it is beautiful. I think it is insightful about, there's some very insightful passages. But yeah, I really missed having a plot. I think that would have made this a much more enticing read. I think it would have made it easier to read. It took me 3 days to read this tiny book, and normally it would have taken me 1. So that kind of says something. And it wasn't that it was boring, because like I said, I think the whole idea of people up in space is interesting. So I was hooked on that aspect from the get-go. And even like the boring aspects of their job, like I think that minutia is really interesting. But yeah, there was no plot. Actually, there was something going on, and I kind of wish that they had delved more into that. There's these allusions to like a crack in the International Space Station on the Russian side. It's deteriorating, and it even tells you that it only has so many more rotations around the Earth that it can do before they basically like it breaks open and they die. So I wish that it had gone more into that, because that would have added to the plot. But yeah, they just kind of glance over it, just like they glance over like a couple of other details. There's little mentions about like feminism in STEM and especially aerospace and in other countries especially, and it's just kind of like glanced over because you don't have enough time to really spend with each character. So yeah, all in all, I did enjoy it, but I didn't love it because of the aforementioned things. Let me know if you have read this, what your thoughts were on it. I know a couple of people who saw me reading it and were like, oh, I actually did read that book, and I had never heard of it before. So if you have read it, let me know. If you haven't, see if it's something, it might be worth picking up. The message is definitely beautiful, and I think it's worth reading just for the message. And yeah, thank you so much, Josh, for having me, and I hope to be invited to another one. Bye!